they all continued to work, but he gave them tests every day. Yes, I find it very, very wrong because he could have those test kits. When you break down the price, are around 25 to 30 cents per person. That's what it costs to test each person daily. Now, of course, by the time it gets to his White House and he's paid all the bidding fees and whatever else, it's probably $10 a person. But still, $10 a person to let a person go to work, and we could be doing that in our society. We could be wearing masks and testing every day, isolate the problem, and say it would have cost us $10 per day to test every person. That's a heck of a lot cheaper than the $1,200 stimulus check that he sent us. So
it's possible to do both.
People employed, so they were thinking of themselves. They were very selfish. They were thinking of themselves, not of the rest of the people. So, and yes, I think that drove the economics down. I firmly believe that he's probably somehow or another backhandedly invested in all the test kits. And in about 3 weeks, you're going to see that everybody has to get tested every day or once a week. So,
yeah,
you're right. So Nick's probably going to go, oh, she needs to quit doing that. Stop that, Jim. But, counselor, this is a bet. This is Kim speculating a bet here, but I bet I'm right. And I bet we can flash back here in 3 weeks, and I'm going to be right. And there's my buddy Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hi.
Sasha.
Hello, Jim. How are you?
Yes, we've introduced ourselves through email. Yes.
Good, Jim. Yes. Glad to see you. Jim, have you ever heard about one of the earlier interviews of Trump where he claimed that he is a master playing strengths chess player, and actually he was thinking about becoming a grandmaster in very short order?
Yes. That'd be like me. That'd be like
me. Sasha, you and I have heard that kind of claim before.
Yeah. but Jim, I want to tell you, every player at one point of his life, actually with me at several points of my life, were thinking about becoming a world champion. Yes. I know a lot of people who are thinking, oh my God, if my parents wouldn't make me to learn how to play violin or spend time to learning all these foreign languages and math, I would be a world champion.
Yes.
By the way, that's a true story, Jim. I want to tell you something.
Yeah. Well, it does not surprise me.
No, of course.
No boast.
I'm pretty sure that you were thinking at one point of your life to become a world champion.
I was the next Bobby Fischer.
You were.
In high school, when I first started playing, my first actually rated tournament game was at the age of 15, which is ancient now to start playing. But I got so much better so quickly that I just assumed it was going to continue. And it wasn't until because I grew up in a small town in New England, and it wasn't until I went to New York City where I played guys my age who were clearly better that my dream of being the next Bobby Fischer was shattered.
How did you take it? I mean, how you could take saying that, no, I'm never going to be a world champion? How could you do that?
Well, I had a very flexible mind at that time, and I just thought I would be world champion at something else.
Okay. But that's happened to me actually when I was in special music school for gifted children. So for me, chess was always on a background somehow. Yes. I love the game. I never learned properly the game, and although I'm playing now at master's level or so on, but I'm not impressed with my game. Never was impressed with my game, although I knew that the practical strength is okay. It's not a grandmaster's level, but it's just probably strong master's level, so something like that. But I never cared about the rating and tournaments or whatever. But so when I was 14, I visited a chess club in my city of Odessa. It was very close to where our family resided. So I came over there, and there was an old. He was probably a master strength player, although his official title was candidate, master candidate. He
which
was
is
a
very
longer
strong.
man. Yeah, at that time he was probably about 55, of course, so he was much older than me. And he was doing some lecture about chess, and he just said that, as you know, Tigran Petrosyan
Yes,
beat Botvinnik in their match in 63, it was, and he
right,
became world champion of chess.
right.
Any questions? It was the end of the lecture or something. And I said, yes, I have a question. And he says, okay, what's your question? And I said that, well, by beating Botvinnik, Petrosyan proved that he is a stronger player than Botvinnik. But he never beat me. So why would I recognize him as a world champion? For what? On what grounds?
Yes. Only 14 and 15-year-olds would think like that. But
But you must see this guy, the coach. He was like red. He was like almost his heart would stop beating anytime. So he said, "Oh my God, oh my God. Okay, sit down and play me, and I will show you what is the chess all about." Okay, we started to play. He sacrificed like all his pieces, and there was no checkmate, and I won the game easily.
oh no!
Oh my God, he almost dropped dead.
Yes.
So he collected himself and said, "Okay, now let's play seriously." And I told him, his name was Mr. Roizen, and I told him, "Mr. Roizen, with all due respect, it's not really interesting for me to play you. If you were a Petrosian, that would be a different story. I
You
would
would be worth your time. Yes.
yeah, I will play you right away." That's a true story.
Yeah. Well, did you know Lev Albert
Yes, of
from
course.
yes,
Yeah,
from Odessa? Yes.
yeah. He's done extremely well after he stayed in Germany. He defected in Germany in 1979. Never came back to the Soviet Union, and it was a team tournament. I think his club was Burevestnik, and he
Mm.
played. And there were some well-known grandmasters like Smyslov was playing in that match and so on. But interesting story was that when he stayed, he defected, and the team still has to go back to Soviet Union. So there was discussion among all the team members and the KGB man who was always with the team, what they are going to tell back in Moscow about Albert.
Right.
So one man suggested, okay, you know what? We have to tell that Grandmaster Albert was abducted by anti-Soviet forces.
Yes.
So Smyslov said, "Wow, before I always knew that it was nice girls who were abducted. That's the first time the Grandmaster was abducted."
Yes. So he better be careful. Yes.
Yeah, so that's the way the story goes.
That's so funny. Yes, and of course, growing up in the West, Lev became U.S. champion multiple times, and he became quite the celebrity in the U.S. for his chess skill. And we were told of a tournament that was held that Lev participated in, but then he was edited out. His participation was um, denied that he ever played in the tournament after he defected. But you could look at the score cross table, and you could see the scores of everyone, and you could figure out what Lev's score was because they would either lose or win to him, and it would be reflected in their yes. So they eliminated his name, but not the results. So I was really fascinated with your conversation yesterday and about the idea of kitchen talk, and where you could have a discussion around your kitchen, but not one that you could have out on the street.
Yeah.
Yes, and so
Yeah, there were some moments. By the way, I in the morning today I was listening to the show, and I was surprised. There are a lot of stuff going on which I never anticipated would happen. especially later on in the show, or actually close at the end of the show, we started to talk about politics. And it wasn't intentional. It was Igor who brought a few points about the
Yes.
celebration of this 9
Yes,
May
I heard
9th
that.
parade or so. And of course, I didn't want to cut him. So although I didn't intend, but I had to carry on this conversation. And it's not related to chess or music, but it's related to what's happened yesterday.
Yes,
Really.
and also it helped shape our lives, because I got involved because of Bobby Fischer, and so the whole idea of uh, Fischer, the lone American against the whole Soviet Union, was a big part of the mythology that we banded about there, because there was a whole generation of players my age: John Fedorovich, Nick DeFermian, Larry Christensen. They all got started at the same time, and it was actually John and Nick, who were in New York City, who showed me that I was not the next Bobby Fischer, because I was looking at they were in the top boards, and they had those demo boards, and so you could watch the games, and they were playing the black side of Sicilians, and I could not understand what they were doing, and they both won. So I realized, and they're the same my age, and it's like, okay, there are guys my age better than me.
Well, about age, I can tell you that I know 3 players who became way stronger when they approached age of 50. You know who are they?
Well,
Number one is, of course, Victor Korchnoi.
Korchnoi, yes.
Yes,
He would have
number
been
one.
my guess.
For sure. Number 2 is Vasily Smyslov.
Oh, really?
Well,
That is
don't
so
you
interesting.
remember that when he was 62, he played Kasparov for a match for a right to challenge Karpov?
Yes.
It was in 1983, and he was for 1984, the beginning of 84, and he was 62 years old.
Long
It
past
was
his time at world champion.
it
Many
was
years later.
in 1983 for sure.
Yes, yes.
Because he was born in 1921. Okay, so he was 62 years old, right? And there is still one more player who became way stronger when he approached 50.
I can't guess.
Well, it's myself.
Ah! You played a joke on me.
It's a good practical joke, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I would have gone down a long list before I got to you.
Oh, by the way, my previous story about this Petrosyan Botvinnik match and my comments on that, there is one. I know him for many years. He's a chess enthusiast, but he's also a show producer, and he's a writer, and he's a man of many talents. And we have contact, and he's writing a book about chess now. So he asked me for a right to use this story in his book.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I asked him how much he's willing to pay for it.
Yes.
So he told me he will give me 100 copies of this book once it will get out. I said 200.
You were not born yesterday.
Oh, guess what? We settled for 150.
That's compromise. That's a good
Okay,
bargaining.
so now I'm waiting for a book. Now I'm pushing him. Who is your publisher? Did you?
Yeah.
Did you
Yes, get the book out. Yeah. Well, how do you feel about, because Botvinnik was certain that if he had been entitled to a rematch, he would have won, because that was his pattern, losing a match and then.
I would agree with you, except that Petrosyan, and Botvinnik admitted himself, he never could actually solve the algorithm of Petrosyan's playing. He could do it with Smyslov, he'd done it with Stahl, he had fantastic match with David Bronstein,
Right.
He failed to solve Petrosian, and also Botvinnik was already
Past his prime.
he was 52. Well, still, it's not that old. He was
Not for you and me.
52. Yeah, but Petrosian was in his prime, and he was particularly very difficult opponent for Botvinnik's style.
Yes. Or
You
for
see,
anyone.
Botvinnik's style was very interesting. It was very fluid. He was a very good attacking player, but not tactical attack as Stahl would do. He was
Right.
very solid positional player and so on. And
Very.
to hit Petrosian was extremely hard because Petrosian was fantastic positional player. And
Absolutely.
Petrosian was very prophylactic player. So
Yes.
whatever Botvinnik's trying to build up against Petrosian just didn't work. And he admitted, many
Yes.
years after he lost the match, he admitted that he could not solve the algorithm of proper play against Petrosian.
Well, Petrosian would see your threat before you did, and he would take it away from you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And it was one of those amazing things that a player that was absolutely positionally magnificent, so that if you gave him anything, he would win. But you could not defeat him was the main thing, was he would take away any chances of losing. That was the thing that most impressed me about him, was that he was able to anticipate what you were trying to do and take it away from you.
But even Fischer, while in his prime, he was always saying that the most fearful and the most respected player of all the Soviet school was Petrosian, not Spassky.
Yes.
He always, although by the time that he played Spassky, he already defeated Petrosian with a big score.
Yes,
And he yet won any single game against Spassky by the time that they started to play.
That's correct.
He
Yes.
never played won a game against Spassky. So
Yes.
that's why I wanted to show yesterday the third game, because it was not only extremely important game in their match, but it was first game ever where Fischer defeated Spassky.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
why
and we were devastated in the United States at that time, because he was down 0-2 against an opponent he had never defeated. And so we just all were just, it's hopeless. And then he came storming back, and as I said, I mean, it was very, if not sad, if not, I don't think sad is enough to say. It's tragic what happened to him later, but at the time, he brought more people into chess in the United States than anyone else, and it is just studying his games was so inspirational, but there's no doubt in the players of my generation's mind that the Soviet players of that era were the top tier, and you could go to the second tier of Soviet players and they were still better than any Americans. And it was so his accomplishment was just out of nowhere from our perspective.
Do you remember a story about one, I forgot his name, the Dutch grandmaster,
Timon?
Hans Reed.
Reed, yeah.
Right, and he played in one tournament which was in Soviet Union, and he came back, and people start to ask him what he thinks about all that other stuff. He said, I will never go back to Soviet Union. I'm fearful that any bus driver will crush me in chess.
Well, you were mentioning about a candidate master in your Petrosian story, and there was Alex Yermolinsky came out, and he lived in San Francisco for a while, so I got to be friends with him. But he wasn't a grandmaster when he was living in the Soviet Union, and when he came, we called him the Yerminator, because he just beat everybody.
Yeah,
But,
I remember this time. Yes. He was really good. But same thing happened with Albert. Albert was not really a highly respected player in Soviet Union. I mean, he was getting by, but nothing spectacular. He came to the United States, and look at what's happened to him. Same story with Gena Sasonka. Gena Sasonka, when he left Soviet Union. He went for a short time to Israel. Then he landed in Dutch in Netherlands, and he started to crush almost everybody. He won Netherlands championship. He played in very strong tournaments like Vikandze and so on. And he was just a master, and not that strong master in Soviet Union. He was good master. He was coaching Tal and Korchnoi, so he was respected master. But that's all. Look at what's happened in the West when he landed in Germany.
I might be mispronouncing his name, but Kadainov was another one.
Kaidanov. Yeah,
yes.
Kaidanov is very good coach, very respected player.
Yes,
I agree.
But I don't know what his reputation was in the Soviet Union. But when he came to the United States, he won everything for a while.
Well, I think he came. I think nobody even knew in Soviet Union who he is, but I think that's due to the fact that he was very young still.
Yeah.
He was still very young. So I've heard about his name, and he was already in the United States, and he became very successful player. He was playing for a U.S. Olympic team. And by the way, did you watch today's match, U.S. China?
I did not. No.
Because it's too early for you.
Right? Exactly. Yes. I was rushing to get to this show.
Oh, I see. No, I actually I was following that match together with my wife. And
I'm going to butt in and say thank you, because that's because we're great. So
yeah,
we're worth rushing to. All right, I'm going to let you guys back. I'm enjoying your conversation.
Oh, oops, she went away again.
Well, she's continued to learn chess, I guess.
Yes. Well, I have this board. I'm telling her anytime I will show her.
So tell me, you now involved in teaching chess or organizing tournaments? What are you doing more or less?
Yes, actually, I had Kadainov at one of my tournaments, which is where I got to know him. Yermo and I were good friends at one point. Then he moved away from San Francisco to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I lost touch with him. Very sad, because he was a lot of fun to be with. But yeah, the most impressive tournament that I ever did was the San Francisco 1995. That was won by Korchnoi.
Wow, and, very respectable.
And Gokul was playing, John Nunn, Robert Hubner, Nick DeFermian from the United States. He had Maurice Ashley and Josh Waitskin and Sophia Polgar. So, and we also had Shea Jun, who was then the women's world champion. So we were trying to touch all the bases. You know,
that's very respectable.
Yes, and it was a fairly moderate category tournament. I think around category 13, something like that. But it was the best that we had done in San Francisco.
Yeah, but the names recognition is very high.
Yes, and we did it. It was at the 50th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations, which was actually founded in San Francisco, since, of course, moved to New York. But we were trying to, as you probably know, organizing Grandmaster tournaments is the passion of the martyr, because you will not be able to. We can get $10 for a kids tournament, where we get $1 for a Grandmaster tournament. It's very difficult to do the fundraising to put on an event like that, because of course Korchnoi is not going to go for lunch money. He's going to come to play. He's going to want to be paid, and these are chess professionals. And so we had to. I think it was something. Forgive me for the years. I may have forgotten, but we had to raise something like $60,000 to put the event on. And Nunn and Gokul told me that it was about an average tournament for international tournament, Grandmaster tournament for them. So, but it was spectacular for San Francisco.
Oh yeah. Just the name roster is incredible.
Yes,
that's true.
Yes. So that was my big thing in organizing. But I did a lot of IM and GM Norm tournaments, FIDE Futurities, because when I was first getting involved in organizing in the 90s, there were no FIDE rated players. There was Walter Brown, of course, in Berkeley. He was local, but he wouldn't play in any random event. It's so.
Well, he was playing in top tournaments in Europe.
Yeah.
And he was doing quite well.
Yes, and we call him 6-time because he won the U.S. Championship 6 times. So we call him 6-time, and we used to before his passing. And so my first goal was to get people FIDE ratings, and I took a team of from the West Coast to Hawaii to get the Hawaiian players FIDE ratings, and and not that it was that much of a chore going to Hawaii, but the idea was to get enough players to have FIDE ratings so that we could have IM Norm tournaments and we could start getting people titles, because there were just a few players in the West Coast that had titles. You had to, in those days, you had to go to New York City to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now it's St. Louis, but that's a very different.
Well, St. Louis came to its full development around 2007, I think, when they first had the U.S. Championship.
Yes.
And they had very good prizes. And from that point on, every year they have now U.S. Championship in St. Louis.
It's amazing that what they have done, because they also have the Carnes Cup, which is for the best women players in the world.
Oh, absolutely. And hockey, this Chess Hall of Fame, this spectacular. Yes. I was there, how many times? I was there 4 times during this Grand Chess Tour tournaments, the either slow tournaments or speed tournaments or so on. I always enjoyed my stay in St. Louis. First of all,
yes.
This is, you've been there, yeah?
Yes, many times. Yes.
Okay.
And, yeah.
We can talk each other maybe.
Since 2010, I was the president of the United States Chess Trust, which is a charity. But the trust is the people who elect who gets into the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame. So I would say I will not qualify for the U.S. Chess Hall of Fame, but I get to vote on who gets in. So my experience was that grandmasters, when they were eligible, would call me and I was their best friend, and then when they got elected, never heard from them again.
Oh my God. What a story.
But so I would go to that museum quite a bit. I was one of the founders, founding members. It was in Miami originally, or prior to St. Louis, and they used to have bricks towards the entryway, and my name was on one of the bricks. So I've been a big supporter of the Hall of Fame. But what Rex has done in St. Louis is amazing. I mean, it has taken it to another level that I never imagined when I started out playing chess. So
yeah, what he's done is absolutely fantastic, unique, and from me, there will be nothing but praises. I met him several times in St. Louis, and I was on closing ceremonies of several tournaments. I was invited. It's incredible, really, what he's done. I must admit.
I am shocked that we have not met prior to this, because the attending those, I used to attend the U.S. championships when they were. The circumstances were not particularly special, and now to go and see and to have the live commentary by Maurice Assery, Yasser Seirawan, Jen Shahad, and it's like this is something that I don't think I could have dreamed of it when I was playing, and when I was watching, and then Seattle did a great job of the U.S. Championship. Really was treating them at the way they deserve to be treated, and now in St. Louis, that is raised to an even greater level. But we used to bid it out to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder might put him in a hotel lobby. I'm exaggerating only slightly. The conditions were not first class by any chance, and now they are.
They
So
are absolutely right. I'm curious to see what's happened in the Grand Chess Tour uh, in light of coronavirus and basically a new way of life. And I, I don't have a clear vision of where we are going with particularly Grand Chess Tour tournaments and all formula, in fact.
I was very intrigued by your comment that maybe chess in the future will be online, and we will not have these face-to-face, COVID or no COVID. And, and
If you will take economics of chess, specifically international chess tournaments, or even Olympiads, or even World Chess Championship, I don't care. The financial formula is that you see prices in this tournament are not astronomical. It's not a hockey or basketball or something like that. So the prices are, although lately they were quite high,
yes,
but still enormous amount of money going into traveling,
yes,
into staying in the hotel and the hall for playing and all these expenses, which, in my opinion, may equal or even supersede the prize money in those tournaments, right? Oh, don't forget also the signing fees that somebody like Carlson, if you invite him to a tournament, you will probably have his appearance fee paid as well, beside
yes,
the prizes. Okay.
yes,
So now, if you think, fine, okay, you can underwrite all this. What exactly are you getting in exchange? You're getting in exchange, if you take what's the highest ever tournament in chess is a world championship match. What could be
yes,
higher than that? So you're paying probably not even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now you're talking about millions of dollars with the prize
yes,
money, appearance fee, and all the travel expenses and publicity and everything else. We're talking about million plus easy. So you're getting, hey, guess what? 12 draws out of 12 games. Congratulations. So for a million some dollars, you're getting 12 draws. Hmm. So it's about 100,000 per draw. Oh, you've done very well. So congratulations. It's only $100,000. What are you talking about? It's not a million. It's not 10 million.
yeah.
It's just
It's
100,000 lousy dollars. What you can get for $100,000 to fly around the world, maybe? And
yeah,
what else?
and
What else?
but it starts to add up to real money.
Okay, so
Hundred
you
thousand
go with
here, 100,000 there. But I get your general point, which the match was unsatisfying. All
okay.
draws.
Well, you're you're trying to be very nice and polite, and I appreciate that. It's not so bad. But my point is this: you can hold on. Where did I get that? Um, what is the bloody book? Oh, hold on. This is the book. Okay, I got it.
Aha. Yes. Game changer.
Exactly. So this is a fantastic, really well written book. I recommend it to anybody.
I'm
Uh,
going to write it down
yeah,
because I
I bought it from New in Chess Publishing House
yeah,
in Holland because I'm subscribing to New in Chess magazine. So
yes.
this is absolutely must reading. Another book I would highly recommend, but it's just too expensive, really. Is this one?
Thought and choice in chess. Oh, I
Yeah.
know the root, but that's a lot. Isn't that an older book?
Oh, it's been published in 1956
Yes, yes,
and about the same time translated into English.
yes.
But unfortunately, you can order only from Amsterdam
Oh
Academic
yeah, right,
Archive. You cannot
right.
buy it on eBay. You cannot buy it on Amazon. Nowhere. I had to approach this Amsterdam Academic Archive, and only then I got this book. Interestingly enough, I've asked many grandmasters. You know, we have a contest on our site where two grandmasters playing each other. Last time we have Mikhail Marin from Romania, and he's a fantastic writer of chess books. And also we had Alexander Donchenko from Germany. So they played, and believe it or not, Mikhail Marin crushed him both times. I couldn't believe it, but because Donchenko is he's much younger, he's a much higher rated player. But you know, chess is chess, that's what happened.
Right.
So I'm asking a lot of grandmasters about this book, Thought and Choice in Chess. Most of the grandmasters never even heard about this book.
Right.
Few of them heard about this book, and only one actually read this book. Only one grandmaster out of 1,500 grandmasters in the world, only one read it. And who do you think it is?
Carlson.
No.
Okay.
Carlson, well, okay, I have to correct myself. I never communicated with Carlson about this book, so he could be. But
let's say no. Let's say probably not.
So the right answer is Gary Kasparov.
Well, that would have been my second guess.
Well, I think you're very close. I think you were getting there.
Yes.
Sorry, that's why I didn't give you a second chance. Because you will do
it. You're one move ahead of me.
So, coming back to the other book, The Game Changer. So, you will see for yourself how this AlphaZero can crush any grandmaster in the world, including Carlson. And I don't think that Carlson even make one draw out of 10, really. That's how strong it is.
Yes.
So now consider this. You can, for free, analyze and see all games of AlphaZero against Stockfish latest version, which is by itself a very strong program.
Yes.
And it's absolutely free. Or you'd rather spend 100,000 per game to look at inferior, let's call the spade a spade, inferior games with many mistakes of world champion and his challenger, paying over $1 million for that. Is it sound business proposition?
Yes, I understand.
Probably not. Oh, some people will say, hey, just for $1 million, I'll pay $10 million. Let them play. Bring them over. Okay, 10 million. Okay, we'll settle for 5. Okay, go and play.
Yeah.
You know, so I might think, 5 million. So it's not even 10 million. It's only 5. So actually, I'm saving $5 million by agreeing to pay only 5. And then you play. But I don't know. My wife would kill me if I would do
that. But my wife would say that's I got 2 for 1. So
that's right.
I save money by buying 2.
That's how you get your life to love you. That's what you do. Guess what, my dear? I got the match only for 5 million. Yeah. It was 10 just 10 minutes ago. Now I got it for 5.
Oh, I might still be married, but I wouldn't be living with her. Well, no. I actually, I called one of the suppliers and said, "Do you have an earlier version of this computer program? Because I can't beat it." And so the computers are in one sphere and humans are in another now in terms of chess play, chess ability.
But you know that, do you know how Carlson practices chess?
No, I do not.
Okay, he's setting up AlphaZero, and first he's watching all the games that AlphaZero is playing. And then he's playing against Alpha Zeros. That's why he's learning, and he demonstrates a lot of unusual ideas. He sometimes play H4 because Alpha Zero actually prefers playing. I saw several games for Alpha Zero. That's how they play. So the style is changing, and but you see, to me, moves like H4, although practically maybe they're extremely strong moves. Who am I to judge? But I'd rather to see some games of Fischer or Capablanca or Rubinstein or never mind Kasparov, Karpov, Tal. Look at the games of Michael Tal. He was fantastic player. His combinations. The problem is that today's computer will destroy all Tal's combinations. They're all incorrect. And all games of Botvinnik are incorrect. And Petrosian is an imposter. And Fischer made so many mistakes, you can't even believe. But again, if you treat chess as an art, why would you care about their mistakes? You learn it from his masterpieces, and you
Yeah.
enjoy these combinations. And
Oh,
that's really what it's all about.
yes, I couldn't agree more. And I always think of Botvinnik as the scientific approach and Tal as the artist. And
Right, right.
what he was creating was, you know, was wonderful to witness. And, you know, Botvinnik's game can be instructive, but they never gave you that sense of just awe. And
Yeah, except that if you remember one game of Botvinnik, which he beat Capablanca with
ah,
move Bishop 8-3. Remember, he sacrificed Bishop, and then he had a
this is in the late
ill-timed
30s.
attack.
This is in the
Huh?
late 30s. This game,
In 38 in Avro
38.
tournament. Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
absolutely. But
I'm
Vin
familiar.
played white pieces, and it was
Yes.
fantastic game.
No, no, nothing to against him. I mean, he was a fabulous uh, champion. Um, you know, but there is something about Tal. If it's panache, I don't know what it is, but there is something about him that brings the artist in me alive. And although I can never achieve the results I used to when I was younger, I can appreciate the aesthetic qualities of chess more. And
Well, look at this. I demonstrated a couple of weeks ago here the games of Akiba Rubinstein, which he played against Rod Levy and
mhm,
Salve. I'm pretty sure you know these games. He
yes,
played with black pieces and he demolished. I mean, okay, sure, White Pro made some mistakes and so
of course.
on, but it's not why we love these games. We love because of the combinations, because essentially he tied up all white pieces, and
Oh yes, yes, I know the
white,
game.
white had tremendous material advantage, yet he was
Yes,
helpless.
helpless.
Now
Yes,
that's beautiful.
it was beautiful. It was. It was one of the best combinations in chess history. And
So now, if we're coming back to practical chess, okay, because to me, there are three aspects of chess which I cherish. Of course, chess as an art. That's why I'm trying to compare it to other arts like music, maybe
yes,
some visual arts or so on.
I
Okay, that's one
thoroughly
thing.
enjoyed that.
So
Yes,
this is obviously it deserves to be treated as an art, and there are arts, but this art is slowly disappearing from the game because of the, of course, advancement of computer programs and especially AlphaZero. I have nothing against these programs. I mean, if people were able to master such strong programs, that's great advancement of humans. But
yes,
but the art element of the game is being killed, but it's still there. You can still uncover in the games of old masters, Murphy and even La Bourdonnais and like
yes,
old school and so on.
sure.
So that's one. Number two, in my opinion, is chess um, in education,
Yes,
chess in schools. I think obviously it helps to develop the personality of a student. Chess is very interesting activity because when you play sports like hockey and so on, you blame your team, your coach. You didn't get in hockey the right players around you or so on. In chess, you have to depend on yourself. There is no one to blame if you lose the game. And
Yes.
it's very fair game. Look at this.
Yes.
You and your opponent see the same board with the same pieces on it.
Yes.
So there's nobody to blame that, oh, he did some trick and I didn't know about this. It's always you have to defend. You have to be responsible for your mistakes. There is a punishment when you make mistake, and you are the only one responsible for that.
Yes.
The
And
final aspect of game is playing chess. So playing and also watching chess, because even as I said before, all these games of Carlsen and all these people, uh, they're, to say mildly, highly suspectable, because from the point of the Alpha Zero, they're nobody, they're imposters. They don't know what they're doing. But
yes.
but it's still like, okay, today motorcycle is much faster than the runners, but the runners are still running the Olympic Games, and we're watching it, and it's
Yes.
interesting. So okay, let these grandmasters play their games. That's fine. I have no problem with that. My problem is when you're playing online against other players. Let's consider I'm say 2200 player. Okay, I'm going online, chess.com or whatever. So I'm playing somebody 2400. Obviously, he demolished me. So I said, yeah, okay, fine. Let me try somebody. Okay, here's 1900 player. Okay, let me beat him a couple of times, and then I'll see what's up. Oh, wait a second. This 1900 players, he demolishes me. Guess what? He's using engine, and you cannot beat the engine. So now, I mean, there is no place to hide. I'm losing 2400 because he's a better player. I'm losing to 1900 because he's using a program. So what am I supposed to do?
Yes.
Where to run?
Yes.
So I can't even play a decent game of chess anymore. And regardless, all chess.com and chess24 and whoever else is there, they're saying that they have antidote against cheating and they know how to fight it and so on. Don't trust even one word. They don't know, and they will not know for a considerable period of time what to do about it, how to do it.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
Okay, so there is an enormous element of cheating, especially people are cheating even if there is no money involved, just for a
Yes.
hit, just destroying you. I just have so much fun. Okay, here's this guy. Oh, he's 2200. He believes he is such a wonderful player. But guess what? I'll destroy him just easily. 1900 player. Okay, here's my engine. Oh, a few moves here and there. I already. And you know what I know? I play a lot of chess online. I know when somebody is using engine against me.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You have somewhat of a strange feeling that first of all, you're no longer guessing the moves, because in many positions, especially in the opening, you're anticipating certain replies from your opponent, and all of a sudden you're not getting these replies. You're getting something else, and you even don't think that there are very strong moves. Apparently, they are. Because they are stronger than your level of understanding position. That's why you don't see these moves. So a few more moves and you already have positional difficulties, then you're losing material, and then you know what's happening. Engine never get tired. Engine never make any mistakes. It doesn't need to eat. It doesn't need to go to washroom. It's always there, and it's going to beat you 24 hours a day and 48 hours in 2 days, and so on. There's no escape from that. So I was thinking about any activity where cheating would be impossible and where people could still enjoy the game, watching the game, and at the same time, they could somehow participate in the game while just watching grandmasters playing against each other, like we had 2 weeks ago, Donchenko and Marin. So you can see the game, and that's I developed this new site, chessstars.com, where we have so-called contests. So the contest is the match of two games, 25 minutes each, with 15 seconds delay per move. And so people, now we have two grandmasters playing each other online, 25 minutes per game, 15 seconds delay for each and every move. In fact, I will go a little bit farther, and you understand why. It's not just a delay. We developed something new, which calls a forced delay. So now, a forced delay works this. Delay, it means your first 15 seconds, your clock doesn't start.
Ah,
Okay? And it starts only after 15 seconds, so you're still thinking about the move, so your clock is running. Now, what's happened no, in normal delay, if let's say after 5 seconds you already know what is a move, and you make your move. So 5 seconds stop, and you press the clock, and your opponent's clock starts ticking. In forced delay, the 15 seconds still must run, even if you know your move. But your move is not going to be shown on the board for full 15 seconds. And only once 15 seconds expired, then the move would be shown, and so on. So you're not winning anything. You see, like increment, you have motivation to do your moves as quickly as possible. You
yes,
build up time. This is an atrocious system because the time, we both know that the time runs only in one direction. It
yes.
cannot, it cannot go backward.
No.
So how is it possible in a chess game, the first game of all, to come with atrocious invention that the time goes this way, but also this way? How is it possible? Have you heard about instrument called guillotine?
Yes, of course.
That the inventor of increment should have been immediately tried and killed by guillotine. And anyone who would follow him, guillotine more and more and more. I think this is the reason why guillotine was ever invented.
That's funny.
Really, I mean, where's the guillotine these days? What is it doing?
No.
So here is one very good purpose to use it.
Well, I knowing little about French history, I'm not sure I can back returning it to society, but I understand what you're saying. And if I may, I won't talk about chess as an art because we don't have time. We will get lost in that discussion. But chess and
Oh, by the
education.
way, would you like to join me for one of this Saturday's chess presentation? We'll talk about a different subject, and
Oh,
you'll tell me what's your favorite game, and I will show you how to show this game on our site. But it doesn't have to be Fischer's game, or maybe you want to show Kasparov's game, or just select what's your favorite game. Okay,
okay.
you'll
That
let
would
me
be,
know.
that would be wonderful. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
at your beck and call.
yeah, okay, wonderful.
Yes. I so much, but to get back really to the point of can we play fairly over the internet? Let's have Carolina in St. Louis and Magnus in Norway, and let's have FIDE arbiters there on both sides, so that they know they aren't cheating, and they know that everything is being conducted fairly.
No, on the level of Carlsen and top grandmasters, I agree with you. It's fairly easy to organize.
Right.
I'm talking about players like myself. What
Yes.
what should I do?
Yes, I have no simple solution except for to play within a chess community. If you build a community of players such as yourself that you know are not cheaters, then you have the fun, all the fun that you would normally have when playing a competitive game. And if someone is discovered as a cheater, they are given the guillotine. They're kicked out of the community. So you are actually creating this, it sounds to me, on the chess.com. You're creating your challenges. And so your challenges are a community.
What do you think? How much would cost a decent guillotine?
This is oh, I think
It's not that expensive, I think.
if we put it Vice President Pence on it or Trump's son-in-law on it, it would be very expensive.
Yeah, especially that I don't think that anybody will buy it in quantities necessary for a cheap production.
Yes,
Unfortunately.
but this is where the hobbyist comes in. I
Mm.
think you just have a friend who likes to make things. Ask him to make a guillotine for you.
By the way, do you know people who invented guillotines? There were three people, two Frenchmen, and they put fantastic ideas how to do it and how the blade comes down. So they envisioned that, but they couldn't construct it. And
Ah,
finally, they got together with one German engineer, and the German engineer he fixed the problem.
well, this sounds very stereotypical. But the Frenchman has the idea, and the German engineers it. But I think that there is not. I'm just going off on a tangent here, but have you ever visited the Torture Museum in Siena, in Italy?
No, I
I
was in
don't.
Siena, but I never attended this museum, unfortunately.
Yes, this is not to be recommended. It is.
No.
But it is amazing how the man can create instruments of torture that are just uh, hideous to even contemplate. The guillotine is at least merciful.
Yeah, I think it's very effective, very fast.
Yes.
Oh, do you know a story? It's a old. I was working on a cruise ship many years ago when I was much younger, and there was a Irish comedian, and
Mhm.
he was doing a lot of jokes. And one of his jokes was that during the French Revolution, the Frenchman caught one Englishman, one Scotsman, and one Irishman.
Uh-huh.
And so there was a trial. They were all convicted to die on guillotine. So the first comes Englishman. So the executor asks him, "You want to die as a coward or as a brave man?" So he said, "What's the difference?" He says, "Well, as a brave man, you will look up and you will see the blade coming at you." So, okay, I'll die as a brave man. So he lies down. So they commanded 1, 2, 3. The blade comes down and stops right before his neck. So he says, "Well, it's an act of God. You're free to go." So he walks away, and then Scotsman comes, the same story, how he want to die. Says, "It's a brave man." They count 1, 2, 3. The blade comes down, stops right before his neck. Says, "Well, it's an act of God. You're free to go." So he goes away. The Irishman comes. He wants to die as a brave man. He's lying down. So they count 1, 2. The Irishman goes, hey, stop it. I can see what makes it stick.
You know, I have traveled in Ireland and Scotland, and they tell the same jokes, but the punchline is different. The punchline is the Irishman is telling it, and it's a punchline about the Scotsman. The Scotsman is telling it, and its punchline is about the Irishman.
Yeah, I believe so, for sure. Do you know any Irish grandmasters in chess?
Well, he's actually Russian. Alexander Baburin is living in Dublin.
He's fantastic chess teacher, by the way.
He is, yes. He lived out here in the San Francisco Bay Area for a while. I got to know him, and he had a book on the isolated pawn structure. I thought was very good book, and he published a chess magazine, online chess magazine, for quite a while. That was also very entertaining and very instructive. I think we're getting the high sign.
Yeah.
It was a lovely conversation, and I was listening everything from backstage, and it's like you are a friend who never met till now.
That is it.
It looks like you know each other since ages, but
Yes.
it was a lovely conversation, and I think it's all about chess and it's all about life and all about the experiences from different parts of the world, and still how people can connect over a virtual call on a board of chess, basically.
It's a universal language, chess.
It is.
Wonderful.
Hey, look what I brought. I got this.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
Wow.
Yeah, signed by everybody, all the big shots.
nice.
I got
That's
two
really
of
good.
them. I got a blue one and a green one, which is just from Elliot Neff. He gave me.
Nice.
But we had done this special program for the students, the children,
Ah,
help inspire chess for children. And
yes.
it was a lot of fun because we really didn't heavily advertise, and they all showed up from everywhere. And I was unable to go. I had to stay home because of an injury. So I hosted the whole show just like this, like a parade. So they took a moving camera and walked around, and I sat here kind of like you two talking to them. And we were doing Pod TV. This is called Pod TV. We were doing Pod TV previous to that, but it kind of launched like crazy after that. I mean, I don't know. Ankit, do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so it really I was shocked because without heavily advertising again for viewers, we ended up with 7,000 hits and likes in like an hour. It was
Fantastic.
but it was all about chess. That's what was interesting. And
Elliot's done a wonderful job up in the Northwest, and his expansion into the kids in chess and education has been a thing to behold.
well, and I enjoy watching some of it because he does get a lot of NFL players involved, and so it's been kind of fun watching him. I've also seen him be carried off the field by Russell Wilson, which I thought was.
Oh my goodness!
He went
Yeah.
to meet with some football camp that Russell and Elliot's never done football. Like he's never even been to a game, right? At that point, now he has, because the NFL players were getting so involved. He decided to go to a football game, and he even took a picture and said, "Look, Kim, I'm here."
Yeah.
So
I would have loved that so much more than Elliot would have.
I know. I mean,
No comparable story.
it just because it just wasn't his world, the football.
Yeah.
But to see all the football players, but Russell Wilson, Elliot went to play a little football and injured himself. Ended up having to have surgery, and
That's one of those consequences of
but he
football.
got carried off. There he was being carried
I've
off.
never been carried off, but I have been kicked off.
You sound like me. You sound like me. Yeah, they won't carry me off, but they'll certainly throw me out of the field.
Did they make 3 points on the kickoff, or just one?
3. It's one of those 3-pointers.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed my life and journey into chess. It has been eye-opening because I dissolved that part of my life many years ago. And I shared my story with
you. Slapped upside the head by your brother. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went bing. I've learned that it's a non-prejudice game. Anybody can play it. It's equal rules, right? It doesn't change. It's very hard to cheat, and it's not about strength of anything but your mind, right? Just here and perseverance to keep playing.
So basically, any age, any nationality, any race, any religion, just everyone can play, and everyone.
It doesn't matter if you're 250 pounds wearing a football uniform, or 180 pounds. Just go to.
I have some question about chess, which I wanted to ask, but I didn't ask earlier. So, is there by any chance, anyone got injured while playing chess?
Oh, good question.
I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Did anyone got injured while playing a chess game?
Injured.
I always said, I've been injured playing football. I've been injured playing basketball. I've been injured playing golf. And I have always said, it's the one thing that I've done that I have never been injured at. But there has been, unfortunately, heart attacks and things like that have happened on the board.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I can tell you to prove your point. In our 48 years of marriage, I played with my wife probably 25,000 blitz games. I don't think that any two players in the history of chess played so many games against each other. And we first started to play, she was already master of chess, and I was nobody. She would crush me 10-0 or 9-1. And I thought, okay, if it goes like this, she will leave me in about a year or two, and that's the best I can count on. So I had to start to really learn chess, and I bought a lot of books. I still have them, and I started to study or so on. Today, we're playing about equal strength, about 5-5, maybe 6-4. Sometimes she would win. And even if she is losing the game, she never took the board and hit me over my head.
There you go.
Never even once. And she hates losing, but so far we're okay.
No injuries, though, right?
No injuries. No.
No
We've had
drawing
people
blood.
sweep the pieces off the board, but never.
That happens. That happens. Yeah.
The second question is, what is the shortest ever chess game happened in the history of chess?
Oh,
In international, I would think four games, 4 moves. It's like a fool's mate.
Well,
But
actually,
on the grandmasters level, there were 6 games. I think Grandmaster Keres, beat Polish master, I think Arlamovsky probably, in 6 moves in a Karakan defense.
6
He's
moves.
In 6
Wow.
moves, he got smothered mate. You know, if you can imagine Karakan defense, so white played in the 5th move Queen E2, and black played Knight D7, and white plays Knight E4 to D6, and it's checkmate because there is a pin from a queen.
Yes.
And that game was played during the Chess Olympiad.
And it's not the only time that little trap has been sprung.
Exactly.
Yes.
And what about the longest chess game so far?
The longest was over 200 moves. In a world championship matches, it was Korchnoi against Karpov. It was something 150 plus moves. It was a draw. But there was one even longer game between 2 masters, lasted over 200 games, 200 moves. I don't remember their names.
What's the time duration of those 200 moves?
Well, there's a regulation that there are 50 moves made and there were no pawn moves and no exchanges. It's a draw. So maybe they played some complicated endgame position, and there were some pawn moves made from time to time. Maybe there were some exchanges, so the game lasted so much. But I think it was a draw at the end of the day. What a waste of time.
And one last question: does anyone get retired or maybe take a break that I will come back maybe in 10 minutes for some natural circumstances? Does that happen in the chess game?
I don't know, if I would play a game to 20, 50 some moves, first of all, I would get hungry at some point and I would want to go to a restaurant or somewhere else. Well, now with coronavirus, you have to go to your refrigerator.
I love that. Can I share a chess game with you that kind of was my first time to ever see a speed chess game? I'm going to share it with you. You might recognize one of the people on this thing, but it's what kind of got my curiosity up. It was my first week filming Money Masters with Nick. And let's see, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I can get it up a little bit better. Here we go.
Okay, go.
Hold on. Whoops. You know what I forgot to do?
Black is winning.
I know. Hold on. I forgot to turn the audio on because that's the best part of all of this.
The heckling from the bystanders.
Maybe. Gosh, what happened to it? I canceled it. Hold on just a second.
We call that in chess.
In the meantime, I have one more question: that why only we have white and black? Why we don't have other colors on the chessboard?
Oh, there are other colors, right?
Really?
Well, some colors there has to be dark.
I'm talking about the board. I'm talking about the.
We have white and green, for example.
Okay.
White and black, actually, the problem is the contrast is so high that you get a headache if you stare too long at it. There's a glare. So we have found that green is a softer color, and you can stare at it longer without suffering.
Yeah. Here it goes. Here we go, guys.
Okay. The hesitation and blitz is always a sign. That's an aggressive move. Not enough of hesitation. Black is more confident. Oh, now he's hesitating. That did not look confident. Ooh. I don't think White thought of that.
Of course not.
Ooh. Wow.
Taking everything. He's taking everything.
Yes, Black is crushing him now, I think. Ooh, hesitation. Yeah.
Actually,
Anyway, when you said when people do this, it makes me think of that.
Yes.
That was John Fanning, the founder of Napster, and Nick Palaveda, our senior executive producer of IBMtv. And
you know, Kim, John Fanning should protest about this game for 2 reasons. I found
John, I hope you're listening.
Two.
Go ahead.
Number one, Nick had coffee and Fanning didn't. Did you notice that?
Artificial. Yeah.
It's already unfair. Okay.
Yes. Performance enhancing drugs.
Now, number two is even more serious. If you remember, Nick castle, and he used both hands to castle. That's against the rules.
I didn't know that. Ooh,
he should have been
are you listening?
qualified right there. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can tell Napsters that this game doesn't count.
Okay, Nick, did you hear that? All of these years I've had that. Go ahead, Nick.
Sasha, have you ever played with Nick, against Nick on a chessboard?
No, we never did that. No.
So I think we need to have a game with Sasha and Nick on next Saturday. What do you think?
My pleasure. Sure, anytime.
I will definitely get on board.
We need to have that game as soon as we can. I think all our viewers would like to know who's winning.
Sasha.
There you go.
And I think Jim can do the commentary, and then it would be great fun.
Maybe you should let your wife play again.
My wife. You know what? The most difficult opponent I ever faced over the chessboard in Blitz games was ex-world champion Vasily Smyslov. I played him in Moscow, and he was super strong. I made 1 draw and lost 3 games.
Right.
So, I guess the best what I could.
Well,
did you ever play chess in a combination like? I mean, there are 2 players playing against the 2 players. Is it kind of a team game happen anytime, or is it a single player game?
I remember when I was really young. I remember there was one game where I played as a team with my wife, and we played against Mikhail Podgaets, who was a coach of Anatoly Karpov, a very strong international master. Actually, he was a grandmaster for all practical purposes.
Yeah.
He had one local girl from Czechoslovakia. She was not that good, so sometimes she would move a piece, and next move, Podgaets would move that piece back. He was asking, where is that piece going? Oh my God. And he would bring it back. 2-3 moves later, she would do the same move and would bring it back. Oh, that's hilarious. Alexandra.
There's Miss Alexander. We got our Lynn Shepherd is on to share with us some of the wonderful
Hi.
things. If you need anything. And Lynn, you said that you're hoping to get stuff to Canada, right?
Actually, India probably first, but maybe Canada soon too.
But all because of Sasha.
South Africa. So, we can't get it there this afternoon for Alexandra's show, but, maybe soon.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying this. By the way, I'm English, Scottish, and Irish, so I'm not quite sure how I would respond.
We had a global experience of history today, didn't we? Oh
We
my
did.
God.
By the way, this Irish comedian that I was quoting, and he was doing on a cruise ship when I was working at the time, and it's 35 years ago or maybe more. There was one cruise where he said this joke, and there was no laugh, no reaction. Everybody was staring at him like this.
You're kidding.
I couldn't believe it. Apparently, it was all Spanish-speaking audience. They couldn't get it.
Oh,
I
that's funny. Yeah. So let's talk about the dollar store before we're finished here. Why not on Mother's Day have stuff delivered to your mother? I guess it's a little late, but you can order now for next year and have it delivered right to your home, because that's what we do. We're an online dollar store. Jim has never seen this before. By the way, I'm fascinated. My grandson is playing chess. I'm going to need to retake up the game to start playing with him. So I'm looking forward to it. But in any event,
there you go.
Yeah, chess for dummies. You got it right here. So anyway, we deliver right to your home. Any orders over $25, delivery free, no cost for delivery. We're contributing to Money Masters and the financial their whole what's the word?
Financial literacy.
Yeah, financial literacy. Anyway, I've got brain block literacy, I think, right?
That's okay, Lynn. You come on every day and you
Happy
talk
Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Happy
you.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But Ash, we love the mission of Money Masters. We want to support that. So half of our profit is given to Money Masters to support financial literacy, and we really hope that people will get on the store, become customers, get discounts right up front without even buying anything, and pretty soon Sasha will be up there in Canada. And I'm going to admit this on TV. Your wife was beating you on the chessboard. I still have never beaten my wife at tennis. So how about
Wow.
that? And I play a lot of tennis. That shows you how good she is. So anyway,
Impressive. Very impressive.
yeah. But anyway,
Anything with me that you can't beat me at. So
say that again.
my wife will not play anything with me that she can't beat me at. So.
You're a woman. Women are strategic like that. You guys don't know. We pick our battles, right, Alexa? I mean,
Yeah.
Alexandra?
But I will say, we stopped playing golf after she hit me with a golf ball 3 times on the first date.
Oh my goodness!
3 times. One, I was standing behind her.
I've seen that happen. I used to play with the Chinese a lot. I worked for the Chinese, and I've seen that happen. And the ball just slices backwards. How does that happen? Oh my gosh!
I will say,
I can't explain
she
it.
got better. She did get better, a lot better. But anyway, so
Too bad she doesn't play tennis that way, right? Then you'd win.
So go on, look, and you don't have to pop everything up.